If you've managed Proxmox clusters for a long time, you probably know that managing VMs and containers within a single cluster is awesome. But if you have multiple clusters or even individual nodes, and you want to do migrations between them or things like that, it's kind of tricky. So to solve that problem, Proxmox Server Solutions has come out with a new tool, Proxmox Datacenter Manager. It's an alpha, so this is a brand new piece of software. I'm going to try it out today and see how it works in my network. So if Proxmox Datacenter Manager is interesting to you, then come along on this adventure. So here on the Proxmox forum, we've got the first alpha release from December 2024. Talks a little bit about what features it has, but I'm going to just go through those directly. You can install it from the installation ISO if you want, or you can install on top of Debian by installing packages. That's what I'm going to do today. So here is one of my PVE systems, Megalab. I'm going to create a Debian container to install Datacenter Manager on. You could create a VM if you like VMs more, but I'm a big fan of containers. Just using Debian 12 bookworm, standard, basic stuff. I don't think I need IPv4 for this, so we're just going to try IPv6 only. Reading the docs here, it says I just need to add their repository here. So they have PDM test as the repository. It's on their usual download server. They also have the signing key that they use to sign their repository. And then we just apt install Proxmox Datacenter Manager and Proxmox Datacenter Manager UI. There we go, it's downloading. Got a self-signed cert, we really expected that. Oh, it's got a new look to it compared to like PVE and PBS. So we're doing root at PAM again, and let's go. First impression, it looks a lot more like PBS than PVE. I know that's because PBS is based on their whole new Rust-based GUI toolkit that they're writing for their projects, but it looks nice. It's in dark mode. I appreciate dark mode. So first thing I got to do is add remotes. So I'm going to add 2 Proxmox systems here. I don't know if I need to add port or not. And I need the fingerprint. Okay, so it found the remote. Now I need a login. The field can't be empty, but what should remote ID be? Okay, so it's going to log in as root and create its own token. See how that works. Okay. Endpoints. Yeah, okay, so we have 2, I guess it found 2 nodes in the cluster. That's just it and itself. Let's go. So first impressions of remotes here. So it turns out that remote name was what it names it in PDM, so I probably shouldn't put PDM on the suffix, but whatever. So this system looks like it's running pretty happily. It says I've got 62 guests, 4 of them are running. It tells me I'm wildly over-provisioned in CPU cores and memory, which is probably because a whole bunch of these guests aren't running. When I do stuff, I tend to create a lot of new containers and new VMs and just kind of leave them hanging in case I need them. Like I created this container to do some compiling and I just left it there. Same with some of these from some past videos. That was a test, etc. But most of the stuff is not intended to be running all the time. If I click on like this guy's using no CPU usage. He's got 4 gigs of RAM, etc. So this is just kind of all the usual VM statistics. If I click on the node itself, I can see the CPU usage, load number, memory usage. Obviously he's using a lot of memory because it's a ZFS, but it's not actually using that much for VMs and containers. You can see here only 18 gigs are assigned to running VMs, which is nowhere close to the physical limit. And I can click right over onto my other system. So this is my sort of production system. So I got home automation, infrastructure, etc. This is what's going on here on this one. And it also looks like it's doing just fine. This one's not wildly over-provisioned. So I have like 18 cores of VMs running, which is fine because most of them are LXC containers that don't use hardly any resources most of the time. Memory, again, is not really over-provisioned at all, which is cool. Notes. Configuration. Unknown iFace options auto. Line 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. iFace, ETH0, INET6, auto. If you don't use IPv6 a lot, auto means auto-configure IPv6 using the router. So in IPv4 we have static or DHCP. In IPv6 we have static, DHCP, or auto. Auto means to listen to the network, don't force DHCP, do Slack, do whatever the network tells you. So auto configure is what I basically always use in all my systems. So interesting they didn't understand that. Maybe I should send bug report. Yeah, so they have a network config here, which I could use if my network worked, except it doesn't. I've got the usual stuff. Probably should have my time zone to be correct. We are in the D. Access control, user management, two-factor. This is all pretty basic from like PVE, PBS. So we have the root at PAM realm. We can add new users at PAM or at PDM. Can I add new realms too? Let's see. I don't see a way to add new realms. So in Proxmox VE, Proxmox Backup Server, they support like LDAP authentication for remote directories, and I think they support OpenID Connect as well. And so those things would be new realms on top of the internal login manager, which is PDM in this case, and a Linux login manager, which is PAM. So under other, we have WebAuthn. Don't have anything under here. Access control, we have two-factor. So I can add TOTP keys or WebAuthn keys to a specific user, but I can't add a new realm yet, it looks like. I'm guessing that's going to be coming. Certificates. Ooh, it named itself Proxmox Backup Server, so they definitely copied something from Proxmox Backup Server. Looks like they support Acme like they did before. So you can create an Acme account and an Acme domain for your PDM server. Administration, so we have updates, repositories. Test repository may be unstable. Yes, it's still in alpha, so the test is the only repository. Syslog, we can look at logs and tasks. And we have a shell, of course. So I think one of the most sought after features for Proxmox Datacenter Manager is the ability to do migration across clusters. So I have two individual nodes here. I should be able to migrate between them using PDM. Normally in Proxmox, you can't do a migration unless you're going within the same cluster. The only sort of workaround to that is to do a backup and then a restore on the other system. So I can, for example, back up to my Proxmox backup server and then restore that on a different cluster or a different node. So here I should be able to go through PDM instead. Let's see, so what's my victim going to be? So I could move my cache server just kind of for fun. I could move old Telstar or old Mir, both of those got replaced. NRF build, because it's not running. So I could start it. Can I have tooltips, please? So that's the running status. That would tell it to start. What is this? Migrate. So I can migrate it from Megalab PDM to Greenman PDM. This is not a cluster, so there's no target node. I probably don't want to delete the source. I could give it a new VM ID on the target. In this case, it would probably be like 127, because that one uses 100 numbers, and this one uses 500 numbers. Do I want to go on data or local ZFS, or go on ZFS? Detailed mapping. Oh, cool. So simple mapping, I have storage and network. Detailed mapping, I have storage and network. What if I pick a VM that has more complicated stuff? Yeah, so this one, for example, has two networks. So it says they were previously VMBR0, and destination I only have the VMBR0, so I guess I have to sign them both to that. I can't just leave them empty. Okay, this one should have two storages, and it doesn't show up here as having two storages. Yes, I have Cloud Init drive, and then I have disk 0, disk 1 here on this system. Over here in PDM, Benchy is only showing up as having, yeah, see, it says it has 3 disks here, disk 0, Cloud Init, disk 1. And I want to migrate it. I guess it's just going to migrate them all to the same storage, and it's not going to let me pick a storage for each separate disk. So in this case, they're both on local ZFS, I guess. That makes sense. So we're going to migrate this guy. So we're going to do offline migrate because we're a container. We're not going to delete the source. We're going to go to local ZFS in the target and use VMBR0. Let's go. Let's see how long this takes. Details. Looks like it's working on it. CT509 is coming through. See if it tells me how fast it was. Got a reply. Waiting for disk import to finish. Okay, so it took 1 minute, 25 seconds to migrate what it thought was 22 gigs, which is probably less than that. And, well, now it's here. Now I can delete it, because I didn't actually want it. So what if the VM is running? So here I got a VM that's running. I migrate him, online migrate, to green man, and we're not going to delete the source. We're going to go to local DFS. Target ID is going to be, I guess 501 is fine. Let's go. Let's see, so looks like that one's coming. 501 user VM. Okay, 4 gigs of VM state. That would be the RAM. Waiting for Spice server migration. Over here, this guy should be almost ready to use. Yeah, he uses Spice. Looks like it's working. No, shut up. No, that worked. We did live migrate. So you didn't get unlocked to migrate, even though you're done. And you over here did. So I didn't tell it to delete this one, so it's still locked, which is interesting. Over here, it's doing just fine. Well, it looks like I've walked through the entirety of what Proxmox Datacenter Manager Alpha does. This is just a very first alpha release, so it's really nice to see where Proxmox is going with this. They have a roadmap of what features they want to implement in PDM, but migrations across hosts and across clusters was definitely the biggest asked for thing, and they've got it. So nice to see that. I'm of course going to be following along with the Proxmox Datacenter Manager releases. If you want to stick around on my channel, don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate that. I also have a Ko-fi link down below if you want to give me a tip. It's kind of like Patreon, but it's only a one-time thing. I really appreciate those. I have a Discord server if you want to chat with me about all things Proxmox, Proxmox VE, backup server, Data Center Manager. I don't really do Proxmox Mail Gateway, but I guess you could talk about it. So as always, I'll see you guys on the next adventure.